What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Sunday scan for Sunday, May 8th, 2022. Hopefully, you guys have all had an amazing weekend. It was an absolutely crazy week in the market last week. We saw once again a ton of volatility in the major indexes, guys, and it has definitely been an absolutely mentally taxing market, but one with a ton of opportunities as well, guys. We saw some very choppy action on Friday. Definitely not the type of price action conducive for those fantastic intraday trades, but throughout the week, we obviously had some fantastic opportunity that we took advantage of on FOMC day, some absolutely amazing trades on Facebook and Netflix. Obviously, a little bit choppier on Thursday as we saw that major moves to the downside. Not exactly choppy, but definitely some heavy pressure on Thursday, and then the choppier day on Friday. Going into this week, guys, I definitely think there's going to be a lot more opportunity in front of us. The first thing that I want to talk about on this Sunday scan is going to be regarding Bitcoin and the Mara over the weekend swing. I know a lot of people took that trade alongside me, and I want to go ahead and talk about why I saw what I saw. And obviously, we've already seen a fantastic move down in Bitcoin from 36,200 on Friday. We touched lows of 33,700. Currently, we are in that $34,000 range, guys. Obviously, I kind of wanted to go over, just first off, I like to cover crypto first on the Sunday scan, especially if we're, obviously there's a trade that I've taken over the weekend or, I'm planning to take. But obviously, guys, did take the Mara puts over the weekend. The weekly candle was set up very nicely. And here on Bitcoin, guys, we lost that major support at 37K. We could not regain it before the weekend close. We obviously have May 9th, which is quote-unquote Victory Day tomorrow in Russia. And guys, obviously there's no firm news out that we may see some type of headline come out. But obviously, I think the market is at least going to be in somewhat of a fear mode going into the weekend. I think that's why we saw the oil names rip super hard last week. And coming into this week, guys, obviously we broke under that 37K mark on Bitcoin. And we've seen about a 7% flush to the downside into that $33,000 area. Now, I'm currently looking at the daily on Bitcoin. Many people trade Bitcoin on the 4-hour, but looking at the daily here, guys, we obviously do have some support in this $32,000 to $34,000 range. Under that level, guys, I really do think we would see a move down into the 28K area, which I definitely still think is possible. This weekly candle on Bitcoin is teetering awfully close to that level, and if we break under the 32,500 mark, I really think we can see a flush down into this 28K, 29K level, which has been a very strong support area. But if we were to see a flush under 30K heading into tomorrow, guys, I really think we would see obviously a massive move on those Mara puts heading into tomorrow. I really think that Mara can see into that $13 to $12 area on the daily chart, and I really think that would provide a fantastic move. So definitely going to have my eyes on Bitcoin tonight as we head into the week. Those would be kind of my targets. If we hold over this 35K area, we may just see some chop and consolidation as we head into CPI this week. But I really think that Bitcoin's been lagging the market a little bit in terms of a move down, and I really think we may see crypto start to really crack here in the near future, given the fact that we did see interest rates rise. We have another impending rate hike and CPI coming up. So into this week, guys, I am expecting a decent amount of chop until we get that CPI number, unfortunately, and that's just how this market is, right? We are in the early stages of a bear market, and I really do think that we will eventually see kind of that further unwind, just based upon how weak the tape has been. So just wanted to cover the Mara chart quickly as we head into tomorrow, guys. If you are a little bit curious as to why I took this trade, guys, this is the weekly candle here that I am talking about. We had that major support in the $17 to $18 area on Mara, and we saw that first weekly candle close last week below that level. We obviously took advantage of that trade a couple weeks ago, and now this week, the reason that I took this trade is we saw this perfect wick up to that support level, which was a prior support range on Mara. This was a huge support level, guys. We talk about it all the time. But longer time frames, if we test support and then fail it on the weekly, that's a larger time frame trade, hence why I took the May 20 puts. And obviously, when we see this rejection on Mara, this was a great A+ setup going into this week. Now, Mara does not have a ton of support until we get into this $10 area, and really the next major support is really in that $5 range. which is personally one of the reasons that I am extremely bearish on crypto right now, is just the Bitcoin mining charts and MSTR, Coinbase are all showing extremely heavy bearish flow, and they just don't have a ton of support in this range. That big support level, as I mentioned, was at that 18 mark, which we gave up. So really, I'm looking for a major unwind in the Bitcoin names as we head into the next couple of weeks. Again, I think we really could see that $11 to $12 area, maybe even a push down to 11 if we get a big move in Bitcoin. So that is going to be my plan on Mara, guys. If we see a big move on Bitcoin overnight into Monday, definitely would take some profits on that Bitcoin trade and maybe leave a couple of runners. But as of right now, obviously the trade is going in our favor. Obviously, it's kind of like trading over the weekend because the position obviously is going to be directly correlated to Bitcoin. And I really think that that'll be a fantastic opportunity come Monday morning. Now, guys, as we transfer into the overall market as far as equities go, I kind of wanted to go over QQQ because I think it's illustrating a really nice setup and kind of directionally where we are headed. Now, obviously, we saw a lot of selling pressure, guys. You can see down here on the overall volume, guys, we saw one of our heaviest selling weeks. However, we didn't see a ton of movement down. So that may be something to note, guys. If we see a positive CPI number, this could be setting up to be some seller exhaustion. However, I just don't see the bull case on QQQ until we reclaim that prior 52-week low in that 316 to 317 zone, which we've talked about a lot, guys. You can see QQQ wick down to this 317 area. There's a massive volume shelf at that price point as well. And so from a VPA standpoint, regaining that spot would be really imperative to QQQ seeing a move higher. However, QQQ saw that massive wick to the 330 level on that FOMC day, and we really saw that major push down the last 2 days of the week. So we'll be definitely paying attention to that low point that we made last week in that 305 area, guys. If we break below that 305 point, I really think we can target first the 300 psych level. If we look at the daily, guys, that 300 psych level would make sense as our next target on the downside. However, I think that next major support is going to be in the 295 area just based upon that weekly chart. We obviously have a big wicks down here in February of 2021 into that 295 to 296 area, but it's really looking like the chart is kind of falling apart here. This is an extremely bearish weekly candle with how that wick formed up to 330. Obviously, we don't want to have too much bias one way or the other, but the market is kind of telling us based upon the tape and the price action that we're seeing that we may be in for another leg lower as interest rate hikes continue. So guys, going into this week, really going to be paying attention to that 305.24 area for a leg down. That would be nice confirmation to see a move to 295. There will obviously be some support at that psych level of 300, but just based upon this weekly chart, guys, I really do think that we'll see a bigger move down prior to the CPI data this week. And obviously, we may see some chop up until that, but really going to be an important level to pay attention to, right? So that is my general thought process on QQQ. SPY obviously going to be very similar, but on QQQ, I wanted to focus on this because the levels are extremely clean here. 316.30 would be that area where, okay, if we get above that level, there's definitely some long side setups that could be taken advantage of. However, a lot of these charts, guys, especially in the tech sector, look really bearish. They don't have a lot of support, and it really makes me think that we're going to see kind of a bigger slide, maybe some capitulation, as they call it, right, where we see that massive leg down and then a bigger bounce. But for the time being, guys, it's hard to have a bull bias on these charts, right? So heading into this week, those are going to be the key levels I'm going to be paying attention to on QQQ. Now, another area that I am going to be looking at this week is going to be the EV theme, especially if we continue to see a downside move in QQQ in the overall market, guys. We had some major news come out over the weekend on Rivian. Now, guys, we did swing this, fortunately for a gain on half of our position, exited the rest, and I really do think that Rivian here is going to see a massive move down as we head into the coming week. Why? Well, if you didn't see my tweet on my primary account, there was some major news that Ford is going to be selling about 10% of its stake in Rivian on Monday. That is when the IPO lockup ends. They're going to be selling about 8 million shares at a block price, which means that a broker, in this case, Goldman Sachs, is negotiating the sale of 8 million shares at $26.90. So Rivian closed at $29. That's already going to be a big move down. And when you see block sales come through, guys, we saw that happen when Tiger Global's fund was liquidated last year. The price of the stock is going to come below that sale price. So definitely on watch off the open, guys. There's going to be some heavy sell pressure here. And I really do think that obviously we could see a move maybe possibly into that $20 to $22 range, about 10% below that block sale price. There was another sale that is set up through JP Morgan for another 13 to 15 million shares is what's being reported from an unknown seller. Obviously, Amazon is that other name, guys, that does have a big position in Rivian. And so I'm definitely going to be watching off the open on Monday, depending on what price we open at in pre-market. This is a very interesting setup. Guys, remember, just like in a bull market, when things are going to the upside, when things are going to the downside, we're in a early stage bear market, in my opinion, and we definitely can see continuation on things like block sales. So definitely going to be paying attention to that. When you have large-scale blocks being sold, the sell pressure definitely ramps up. So wouldn't be surprised to see a bigger move down here. We made a new all-time low on Rivian this week at the 2871 area. So obviously we're going to open sub that level, and I'm definitely going to be paying very close attention to this. Now, my favorite setup, off of Rivian, and one where I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity. This is going to be my top watch here on Lucid. Obviously, guys, you guys know I'm in this one long-term. However, I have a pretty low average, so I try not to trade my long-term position here. But as far as a trading perspective goes, this is absolutely going to be my top watch on Monday off the open. I think that this can see a fantastic sympathy move to the downside off of the Rivian sale. And I really, really think if we can break this $17 level, guys, there's a massive short opportunity here, possibly into this prior low of the 1611 area, but there's really not a ton of support as we are entering that weekly candle, right, which was from our SPAC kind of inception, right, in that $10 to $12 range. I really think there's a home run potential trade opportunity here. I'm not going to go into it with that mindset too much, but there is a major opportunity for a downside move if that continuation in Rivian happens to the downside. This is going to be my top watch off the open. I really am going to be looking at the $16 and $17 puts. I'm going to stay relatively close to in the money, but there's definitely a potential for a parabolic move to the downside, especially because this sympathy is so close to Rivian. Even though there's no massive sales going through on Lucid itself, it will move in sympathy to Rivian. And like I mentioned, in a bear market, the sympathy plays will be great. They're just going to be in the opposite direction. So definitely my top focus is going to be here. I will be watching closely for a break of 1744 to confirm downside confirmation. My guess would be that we would open in that range of $17 in pre-market. So I think there'll be a fantastic trade opportunity here, guys, into this $16 level, and really below that, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a move into the $14 range or maybe even below that level. So definitely on watch for a potential big move to the downside here on Lucid. Definitely my favorite setup. Who knows? Maybe this goes to like 10, 11. I think it would be extremely cheap there. And I know that some of the bigger SPAC positions are in at the $12 to $13 range. A lot of the institutions are in at that spot. And so I think that it'll find a base there, but definitely going to be on watch for a move down into this 16 range on Lucid. Now, the last sector that I do want to cover is going to be, actually my second to last sector is going to be this mega cap tech. Guys, Apple is definitely on watch for me for a downside move under 149.04. Honestly, guys, under 150, I really think this is going to find this 138 to 130 level very quickly. This is kind of the last name that is yet to fall apart. Could we possibly see a bounce off this level? Absolutely, guys, and I'm not going to discount that possibility happening. Could we see a move back to 160 or this 163 area? Absolutely. But if we see that confirmation and heavier sell pressure come through on Apple under that 150 level, we can absolutely see a move, in my opinion, down to 138. That would obviously cause a major move down in SPY and QQQ as well, which we've kind of been teetering on the edge of. So definitely on watch. This one is a highly liquid name that is going to offer a massive trade opportunity sooner rather than later. So definitely going to be watching Apple as we head into this week. Again, that key trigger, guys, on the daily would be that 150 level. And again, if we can break under this 155 area, right, that big area is going to be a daily close under 155, and I really think we see that subsequent move down into this 149.8 level, and then obviously a bigger spillover. This has been the strongest name, and for good reason, but obviously, guys, if we see this larger scale bear market play out, all of these names will eventually come down. So definitely going to be on watch for me here. Now, the last sector I want to talk about for real this time is going to be oil. Occidental is the name I want to cover. I'm going to post this obviously in the written scan, but a major daily and weekly breakout here on Occidental this past week. Big move up in WTI. And I really think that this one is getting ready for a much larger move up. We're going to have to look at the monthly chart here, guys, because we haven't been at these levels in a very long time. But if you look at what oil did back in 2008, guys, this one pumped all the way almost to 100. And I think that the reason you're seeing people like Warren Buffett and all of these, kind of experienced investors position themselves in oil and energy is because we're getting ready for a major move up. It's already had a major move in the last 6 months, but going into this week, guys, I really think that this is going to be one of my top watches for a retest of this breakout level in the 63.70 level. Any retest of that 63 to 64 area, right? So 63.70 to 64 is going to be on watch for me for calls to the long side. If we can see a retest of that 63.70 area, I'm definitely going to be looking to get long on some May 20th calls. I definitely think this one is priming for a big breakout into possibly, if we look at the monthly, that $73 to $80 range is definitely possible in my opinion, guys. So 79.31 is major resistance, but I really think if we can base at the 64 level, we're going to be in great shape for a move to the upside on Occidental. So definitely my top long side watch here, guys, going into this week. Again, 63.70 to 63.50 would be that dip buy area that I'm going to be focused on as we head into this week. Guys, there's a ton of opportunities in this market. It definitely takes some getting adjusting to. Everyone is, dealing with the same market conditions and price action, and we haven't been in a rising rate environment like this in a long time. It's been, 4 or 5 years. So best thing you can do is prepare on the weekends, get ready, and study your levels so that you come prepared headed into this week. Mara Swing's looking great. Can't wait to take advantage of the second week of May with you guys, and I will see you guys on the Discord live voice tomorrow morning. Very excited to take on the rest of the month with you guys, and I will see you guys on the pre-market scan. Peace out, guys. Have a great rest of your weekend.